Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. We were discussing yesterday about the discretionary power of the president. Discretionary powers are those powers which are exercised by the president on according to his own reason, without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Whatever done by the president according to his own reason, that these are called discretionary powers. And in this context we have discussed one of the three situations where the president exercises this discretionary power, and the one situation which were discussed was that it is given in our constitution that the president is it shall act according to the aid and advice of the council of minister, but the president can president is free not to accept the aid and advice of the council of minister, and it can send back the aid given by the council of minister. It can send it back to the council of minister on any ground. The ground can be anything. The president may feel that there is some legal loophole, there is some legal problem with that advice, or the president may feel that the advice is against the national interest of the country. Anything on any ground. The ground is not there, not given in the constitution. So the president has the right to not to accept the aid and advice of the council of minister once. Okay, it can send it back to the council of minister, but it is also written in the constitution that if the no, now first thing which I have just now said, that the president has the power to not to accept the aid and advice of the council of minister and send it back to the council of minister. In this situation, when the president is not accepting the aid and advice of the council of minister and sending it back to the council of minister, in this situation the president is acting on its own. He is acting according to his own reason. Whatever he thinks, whatever he is feeling, he is working according to that. In this situation there is no aid and advice from the council of minister. Okay, so this is the situation when the president is using his discretionary power in not accepting the advice of the council of minister. And though it is also written in the constitution that if the council of ministers send the matter, send the advice second time to the president in whatever form it sends it, it may accept the changes what were required by the president, or it may not accept the changes. Still the president is bound to give its acceptance. The president is bound to accept that advice. Okay, so many times you may think that if the president has to accept the advice second time, then what is the utility of sending it back first time? No, it is not that it has no utility. Actually, the post of president holds so much dignity and so much respect of the people that if the president is not accepting the advice of the council of minister, it is considered a matter of high importance, and people start thinking that something wrong has been done by the council of minister and the prime minister. Because of that only the president has not accepted the advice. So it this use of discretionary power by the president can shape the public opinion, and it can have its effect on the future polls also. So it is not it is very significant if the president does anything. If the president is not accepting the advice, then people will don't take it. People are not going to take it lightly, they will much value will be given to this. So this is one situation, one of the situation when the president uses its discretionary power. Then the second situation is also there when any bill is passed by both the houses of the parliament. What happens that the president, after passing from both the house, a bill becomes a an act only when the president puts his signature on it. Okay, so in this also we can see that the president has discretionary power not to put his signature. Okay, the president will not give his or her acceptance to the bill, and it can send it back to the parliament. Okay, he can say some of the points of the bill which is not he is not thinking with that these bills are in the public interest or any ground on any ground, and he does not he can send it back to the parliament. And when he is sending the bill back to the parliament, in that situation he is not working according to the aid and advice of the council of minister, but the president is working on his or her own reason. This is discretionary power. Okay, so it can send it back to the parliament. Though here also we find this provision that the parliament will discuss the matter again in the house. Both the houses, the matter will be discussed, and if it sends it back to the president in whatever form it sends it back to the president, it may accept the changes which are advised by the president, or it may not accept the changes which are advised by the president. Still, the president has to give his acceptance to that bill. So here also one more situation is can arise here. What happens in our constitution? There is no mention of time limit. Ki, after passing from both the houses of the parliament, the bill goes to the president for his acceptance, and it is not written in constitution that by what time or for how many time the president can stop by what time the president must give his consent or sends it back to the parliament. It is not written in the constitution. कितने टाइम में प्रेसिडेंट को उस पर या तो साइन करके आप उसको एक्सेप्ट कर लीजिए, या फिर उसको वापस भेज दीजिए पार्लियामेंट में, बिकॉज यू हैव सम reservations, you are not liking some of the provisions of the bill, so you have sent it back to the parliament. These are all okay thing, but time limit is not there कि कितने time में आपको ये सब कुछ करना है. तो in this situation what happens that a president can use this lacuna of our constitution, can use this loophole of our constitution by not sending, neither he is giving his acceptance to the bill, neither he is putting his signature on the bill, nor he is sending back it to the parliament. He simply has folded the bill and put it in the pocket and forgets about it. So what is this? This is pocket veto. Veto is something, veto is a very powerful word. Okay, and you must know the meaning of the word. Veto is that when the president, veto is the right to say no. Okay, a veto is right to say no. The president has no right to say no, because either he has to put his signature that or he has to resend it. He has to send it back to the parliament, and when the parliament resend it, then he will have to give his acceptance. So in formally what we see that in our constitution the president has not been given any veto power regarding the passing of the bill, but because there is no mention of any time limit, the president can use pocket veto. Okay. He will neither accept the bill, and he will neither send it back to the parliament. He will simply उस मैटर को ही वो समझो he will forget. That is why it is called pocket veto. He has kept that bill or the advice or whatever thing in his pocket. So this is referred as pocket veto, and this was used by our president also. One of the president, one situation arose in which Gyani Jail Singh has to use this pocket veto. Okay, so I am telling you that incident in 1986. What happened that the parliament passed a bill which was known as Indian Post Office Amendment Bill. At that time, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, and Gyani Jail Singh was the President of India. And this bill, Post Office Amendment Bill, was passed by both the houses of the Parliament, and it went to the President for his acceptance. But the bill was has some provisions which were highly criticized by the media. Media was against this bill. People were also expressing their views regarding the problems which were associated with the bill. Actually, this bill was curtailing the freedom of the press. There were some provisions in this bill which were against the freedom of the press. So, what happened when both the houses of the parliament passed the bill and sent it to the president? The president did not take any decision on this bill, neither yes nor no. He just did not take any decision. And in this way, what happened that his term was also over. And after Gyani Jail Singh, Venkat Raman became the president. Okay. And what happens that when Venkatraman became the next president, the bill again, the bill was with the post of the president. So he saw the bill and he sent the bill back to the parliament, because he was also of the opinion that there are some points which need to be corrected. So he sent the bill back to the parliament for reconsideration. And now what happened that the government has also changed by now. When the president changed from Gyani Jail Singh to Venkat Raman, the post of president was now holding by the Venkat Raman. In the same way, what happened that the government has also changed at the national level, and Rajiv Gandhi was no more, and Rajiv Gandhi was no more the Prime Minister of India, and a coalition government was formed in 1989 under the Prime Ministership of VP Singh. And this government was the ideology of this government was different, because the party was different, and the bill was not discussed in the parliament, and the bill was not passed again by the parliament. In this way, what we find that the Gyani Jail Singh used his discretionary power, and in this way he postponed his giving assent to the bill. And because of his postponement, what happened that the bill could never become a law, and this was the benefit of the post of the president. If the government is doing is going is ready is preparing itself to do something which is going against the interest of the public, then there is one more guard of public interest is there in the government, and that is the post of president. So this is the use of discretionary power by the president. Then one more situation is there when the president can use his discretionary power. You know that prime minister is the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. In Lok Sabha, whichever party gains the majority of the seats, the leader of that party is appointed as prime minister by the president. Okay, and no, in normal time, there is no problem. Whichever party has gained the majority of the seats, that is 272 seats, if any party is winning, then that party is the majority party, and the leader of that party is appointed by the president as a prime minister. Okay, and the president is not supposed to use any kind of discretionary power, because he is bound to appoint only that person as prime minister who is the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. But a situation may arise, and it's not only imagination, because in practical life, in practical political life of India, we have seen that such situations have emerged so many times, that not a single party is able to have uh, has a clear majority in the Lok Sabha. No party is able to gain 272 seats in the Lok Sabha. And suppose there was many parties are there are many parties in the parliament, and it happens that many times two or three parties uh, come together and make a coalition, and then they start after the polls. I'm talking about the coalition, the alliance which is made after the polling. After the polling, it became clear to the political parties that none of the political parties is able to win the required seat in the Lok Sabha. So what happens? They start doing alliance, and in this situation, what happens that many times two or three leaders starts claiming that they have the support of the majority in the house. There may be there can only one leader whose claim will be true, because majority party can only be majority party, or majority alliance can only be one. So this type of situation arises when two or three leaders starts claiming that they have the support of the majority in the house. So in this situation, the role of the president becomes very important, because now the president has to decide among these two or three leaders to whom he should appoint prime minister, and how many time should be given to that prime minister to prove his or her majority in the house. So, in this situation, the president is supposed to use his discretionary power. Okay, and after 1989, the Indian political scenario has changed a lot. And in this changed scenario, what we find that the dominance of single party has been now there is no dominance of single party, and the era of coalition has started after 1989. And because of this coalition, what happens that it causes instability, because so many parties are forming the government together. And in this situation, what happens that many times it is very difficult to uh, continue with all the parties, and such situations arise when a particular party pulls itself out of the coalition. And in that situation, what happens? The government will uh, now come in the minority. It will lose the support of the majority. And in this situation, what happens? Many times the Lok Sabha has to be uh, dismissed and new elections are declared. So, this coalition government, which started after 1989, it caused instability. We can see that in the 11 years, in the 9 years of 19 from 1989 to 1998, in a span of 9 years, we see that there were four parliamentary elections held in our country only because of this lack of uh, getting majority by one single party. So in nine years, four elections were held, and no single party or coalition were able to get the majority in the Lok Sabha. And in this situation, the president uses his discretionary power. The first thing, to whom he should invite to form the government, because there are many leaders who are claiming the majority of the house. So it is to be decided by the president that which leader he should call for, he should invite for forming the government. Okay. And then if he is asking any he is inviting any leader to form the government, then he has to give him or her some time. A particular time period must be given the to the leader to prove his majority. And many times it is the president who has to decide that if the prime minister is requesting for dissolution of the Lok Sabha, then he should accept that request or reject that request. If he feels that no other party or no other leader will be able to form the government with the support of the majority, then he will have to dissolve the Lok Sabha on the request of the prime minister or on the advice of the prime minister. But if he feels that there is another leader who has the support of the majority and who can form the government, then he will use his discretionary power and he will not accept the advice of the prime minister to dissolve the Lok Sabha, but instead he will call that leader to form the government to prove his majority. So, in this situation, the discretionary power of president becomes very important. In this, also we have many real life examples, and we are discussing one of the such situation in the election of 1998. What happened that no political party or coalition was able to secure majority in the Lok Sabha. Okay, no party. Only there was largest party was the BJP and its allies. It was not alone. BJP was not the only party, but it was an alliance. BJP and other parties uh, secured 251 seats. You can see it's 251 seats, and the requirement of there is requirement of 272 seats for the support of the majority and for forming the government. So the BJP and its allies secured 251 seats, and they were missing 21 seats in order to gain the majority in the house. So, and other parties, this was the largest party. The BJP and its allies, it was the largest alliance at that time. Any other party or alliance were not able to achieve even this 251 seats. Okay, so it was the largest party, and because of this, the then president Narayanan uh, asked the leader of the alliance to furnish documents in support of his claim from concerned political parties. Okay, he asked the leader of the alliance, who was Atal Bihari Vajpayee at that time, to show the documents through which he can understand that he can accept that the claim which is done by the leader or Atal Bihari Vajpayee, that he has the support of the majority of the house. So in this claim, he must produce documents. Documents means signature of all the 272 members of the Lok Sabha. If in this way, the president will understand that the claim which is done by the leader is a false claim or a true claim. So it is started by Narayanan, and now it is the process which is adopted by many of the presidents, that whenever such claims are made by many one more than one leader, then it is told, it is said to them that to furnish or to present the documents which will support his claim that he has the support of majority of the members of the Lok Sabha. Okay, and then Narayan also advised Vajpayee to secure a vote of confidence within 10 days of being sworn in. He was sworn in as a prime minister, and after becoming prime minister, the president given him 10 days time. Within 10 days, he has to prove his majority by securing a vote of confidence. And in this, Vajpayee was not able to win the vote of confidence. So, in this situation, we are saying that when Narayanan is asking Atal Bihari Vajpayee to produce a document in support of his claim of having the support of the majority, there was no one to give him advice. Prime Minister is not there to give him advice. Still, he has used his power on his own discretion. So we can see that the president is not a powerless or toothless post. He also has some powers, but it depends on the situation. If the situation is like that, then only the president will be able to use his or her discretionary power. Okay, so we can see that in most, almost in every time, in normal time, the president is a formal head. He is not supposed to um, use the power actually. He is only formal head. Okay, he is there only to put his signature. Then we there are many times there the post of president is questioned when the president has nothing to do. Actually, he is not doing anything. He is just putting his signature. Then what is the utility of the post of president? But this type of question is it is not proper to question the post of president, because we have seen that there are many situations in which the prime president is expected to exercise the real power. He is working on his discretion. So his post has utility in special circumstances. The president uses his discretionary power, and this shows his importance. Then one more thing is there, that we have adopted parliamentary system, and under the parliamentary system what happens that the council of minister is dependent on the support of the majority in the legislature. Council of minister must have the support of the majority. So what happens that uh, council of minister can be removed anytime if it loses the support of the majority, and in that case a new council of minister will have to put in place. Okay, so in this situation, in this type of situation, we need a head of the state who has a fixed term, because we our head of the government has no fixed term. It will hold the post. The prime minister with his council of ministers had no fixed term. The Prime Minister holds the post. The Prime Minister with his Council of Ministers hold the post as long as he has the support of the majority. The moment he loses the support of the majority, he will be removed. He will have to resign from his post. So there is need of a head of the state who has a fixed term, who has the power to appoint prime minister. Okay, and in this way, we find that this role is given to the President of India. So, President has a very important role to play in the political situations of the country. Okay, so we cannot say that the post of the president is useless, and there is no need of this post of the president. We are in need of this post, and he must be there. So now we will discuss the matter in the next class.